Angela. Steve. Debbie. Kerry. Janine. Stephen. Stephen Farrell. Right. Paul. Stephen. John. There you go, lad, you've been on the mill. Jacqueline. Kerry. Kerry. Francis. Kevin. Michelle. Julie. Anne-Marie. Dee. Graham. Neil. Tony. Maxine. Marie. Gary Watts. James. Nicola. Neil. Right. Just sit quietly, we've got a few minutes before the end. Go. Right, Paul. Stephen. Then, in us there reading out there, I think, if there's something you'll agree with or disagree with, you can make a note, and then when we open up the discussion, you can make your comments. You can stand up, as we do in the House of Parliament.
And I'll be
Peter, shut up. Come on, adopt a more helpful position when you're back to us. Have you got a piece of paper there? Right.
Back in your mouth, Madam.
Okay, Angela.
Keep it on, Smacker.
Can we have a quiet while she's reading, please? Have you all got a piece of paper for notes? The girl's got enough bottles. Today we're having one for, one against, and we're open for debate. Have you all got something to make notes of? Help with this now, you might learn something, alright? Help with this discussion, please. By the way,
You shut your mouth.
for this, you know. You'll actually get marks. I have to give you marks. It's your chance. Well, I should just have a go today. We'll do other things that'll give you more confidence as we go along. All right. Are you right, Angie? Would you like to? Now, we will edit this. We will edit it. In other words, if there's any bits where you suddenly feel
I've seen like
or any naughty bits will be taken out, will be cut, or any bits that don't put you in the best light will be taken out. Okay.
Oh, do you get your mush out of the way?
Like this noise at the moment. Right, so we'll all be quiet while Angie has. You've got a soft voice. What? Sorry. We'll
Don't start yet.
commence to read. Now don't start. Just sit down.
Prepare to die.
Right then, Angie. Speaking in favour of the restoration.
Capital punishment is the taking of a life. The dilemma of whether capital punishment should be reintroduced has been raised many times in various discussions. I personally agree for the need for capital punishment and have some arguments to support my decision. However, I only think it should be used for certain crimes such as murder. In the same token, I also agree that some factors of the legal system need to be used as well. In 1965, Anthony Allen and Wayne Evans were the last men to be hanged for the murder of a man driver. Both men claimed that the other was responsible. Since then, all crimes increased by a third after the abolishment. This is why I believe that capital punishment can be used as a deterrent. I do not expect it to deter everyone, but a few it would. The premeditated murder may think twice, but the terrorist wouldn't. Therefore, capital punishment would not have deterred any of the 56% of spontaneous killings committed in 1988, but could have had an effect on the remaining 44%. Objectors towards capital punishment in defence argue about statistics comparing New York, where there is capital punishment, with Britain, where there isn't. In 1987, in New York alone, there were a staggering 1,598 murders committed, whereas in Britain, there were only 662. New York is only one place out of America, whereas Britain is a whole country. But these statistics can be explained by the fact that these two places have totally different natures of society. America is more violent than Britain anyway, so if capital punishment was abolished, New York's murders could be higher. In America, the police are also allowed to carry firearms, which then encourages criminals to also carry them. Another worrying issue, say some, is that capital punishment may encourage criminals to carry weapons. I do not think this would happen. Murderers whom capital punishment will be used against would already be carrying weapons. Other criminals, such as thieves, would have no need to go out and get any weapons, as the reintroduction of capital punishment would have no effect on them. If anything, capital punishment would discourage this type of criminal not to have any, so they would not be tempted to use them. This was the case before hanging was abolished, as the leader of the gang confiscated any weapons belonging to the others to protect them all. Capital punishment may seem disturbing, as human life should be sacred, and it is wrong therefore to take a life. But I do not think that someone should be protected from something that they are prepared to inflict on someone else. I admit capital punishment has killed innocent people in the past, such as Timothy Evans in 1953, who was hanged for the murder of his wife that he never committed. As this man was retarded, immediate assumptions caused a terrible mistake, costing Timothy his life. But new technology can now protect the innocent, who should have only been hanged with 100% evidence and certainty. 4% of innocent people were hanged using capital punishment, but what about 33 to 50 people who were being killed by reoffenders? These also innocent people were killed because the reoffenders were not hanged or kept behind bars long enough. There is a good chance if someone is killed unintentionally through maybe a breakdown that they can be rehabilitated through the prison system. The culpable is a major, I think, cannot. Therefore, a line should be drawn involving certain circumstances whether or not the death penalty should be used. The grounds on which the major is killed should be taken into consideration. Emotional outburst, manslaughter, and premeditated murders should have different consequences, but none of them should be excused. Some say the legal system should just be reviewed, but how long does this take? The authority has already had over 2 decades to do so. Capital punishment is a reliable alternative. Preventing overcrowding, I do not think, is a valid argument for reinstating capital punishment, as there are not a lot of murders committed and a percentage of them are not intentional. Therefore, the number of prisoners would decline slightly. Financial costs would drop as well, as the high security prisons would not be needed to safely keep the sadistic murders away. These type of prisons specialise in hiding the problem, not curing it. Murderers nowadays get away with things far too easily. Now the capital punishment has been replaced by life imprisonment. Life does not even mean the 25 years it is supposed to be. Even then, prisoners are rewarded with good behaviour. Capital punishment is the firm handwritten news. This money could also be put to better use. Amnesty International objects to capital punishment. I agree with Amnesty International involving the examples they give that the use of capital punishment is totally wrong. In South Africa, for example, people are hanged because of the colour of their skin. In other countries, it is due to religion or political status. This exploitation is the main thing that makes me doubt capital punishment. If it was introduced, it would not get my vote if it was used in this manner as a political weapon to benefit certain people and races. After summing up the advantages and disadvantages of capital punishment and the grounds it should be used on, I have come to the conclusion that I am still for my original opinion. I am for capital punishment if it keeps scum off the streets and protects the lives of innocent law-abiding citizens.
No. Well, we'll have Emma next. I mean, Emma hasn't developed her finished years yet, Emma. But, yeah, but she's got to do the bits she has in order to give us at least a start. If you could strap it together in terms of why. Oh, do you want to use yours then? It's open to debate. Put your hand up. You put your hand up after this.
Go.
And by the way, very sadly again, but we'll do it again, I don't think I've seen more than about 2 people making a note. So that Angela mentioned about 15 points which she took on and argued. And I was hoping some of you would be able to say, Angela said, I'd like to say a bit on that, right, and speak on it. And you didn't. Only about 2 or 3 people did. And other people were totally ignoring the discussion over in the corner there. And Peter too decided he wants to have a conversation with Michael. Right? Michael, by the way, is busy writing his essay and is oblivious to the whole debate. He has no intention whatsoever of taking part in it. Right? He quite begrudges giving up his lesson, which he's come to enjoy writing it, because he can't write anywhere else. Okay, we'll get on with it now. Emma, where's Emma? Emma, what the hell are you playing at, you lad?
You're not in picture, so...
She's not. She's the one doing the reading, not you. You only have to sit and listen. They're the ones with the bottle to do it. Where's yours? Do you want to do it?
No.
Will you leave her alone?
Yeah, will someone give me this now?
Oh, well, you might fancy her, but if you just for a moment allow her to concentrate on that instead of you. Hang on, we've got to wait for Peter now.
Shall I just get some paper?
Wait.
Right, are we ready? Right, off we go.
Capital punishment is simply the official taking of life for the sake of the crime of murder. There are several forms of capital punishment, some of which are hanging, cyanide pill, stoning,
guillotine and electric chair. But is it so simple? No. Although lots of people wish it was, it certainly is not. When abolished by the vote on November 8, 1965, it was replaced by 25 years imprisonment life. Since the abolishment, capital punishment has been debated several times, and the vote against has constantly been won by a large majority each time. This subject will always be on the agenda in the House of Commons, but with a bit of luck will never be reintroduced. But this is only my opinion. In the paragraphs below are several facts and several views of MPs and also everyday people like myself. My argument is for the against. To cut my argument short, but to prove a point too, I have done some research into the thoughts of 3 prisoners, each with a different prison sentence. Each letter is from a convict in prison. After my sentence, I felt numb. I had murdered a man who destroyed my marriage, but I had not expected life. When the governor came to my cell, he tried to cheer me up by saying that it would be no more than 10 or 15 years at the most. I closed my eyes and gripped the edge of the bed. 100 years, 200 years, it all sounds the same. 1 year I could manage, 2 years, yes. 3 years, I think so. 10 years, Christ. If they had hanged me, I should have only had 3 or 4 more weeks to do, and then oblivion. Now I must drag on, month after month, year after year, until some date in the future. I'm 38. How old shall I be when I get out? 48 or 53. Letter 2. The hangman's noose did at least end life. The present system warps and destroys the man. It is a slow death and a terrible torture upon the mind and the personality. Men are reduced to vegetables. I'm at present serving a 5-year sentence. Although a qualified electrician, the regime has found it more convenient to place me in the prison kitchen. I leave the prison far worse than I was sentenced. Bitterness, deep-seated hatred passed through my mind. And finally, letter 3. The food is unappetizing, the actual portions are minute. Work in the shops begin at 8 AM and with a lunch break and exercise from 12 until 1:45 PM, we work until 5 PM. The last meal of the day at 5 o'clock is often a spoonful of jam and 3 slices of bread, and this has to last until 7 AM the next morning. The sanitary arrangements are primitive. 3 water closets and 2 wash hand basins for 140 men to use within half an hour as usual. The stipulated 1 hour's exercise each day is usually 15 minutes. Bread and water in solitary confinement is still a popular punishment. These letters give a good description of prison life. Maybe the murderer convicted to death will go to hell, but to me and to these 3 men who have experienced life in prison, this is the worst hell ever. Some people for hanging say that they will eventually get free. But what life will they have when they do get free? I must admit, if I killed someone, I'd rather die than live on, but that would be letting me off lightly. You mustn't forget the hangman's noose kills in a matter of seconds. If that, prison life is a slow death.
Well, this you just started. Okay, I want you to, before we go any further, you give some of the arguments to in the way we talk. That's quite good, yeah. Any, right, it's now open for debate. If you put your hand up, please, yes. Stuart Woods. What? You put your hand up? You did, he went like that.
He did.
All right, sorry, Emma.
How can she be sure that now the candle says everything?
You can.
Hang on. Do you think?
Sure.
Well, would you like to make a note to come back on that one in a minute? I'll take a few questions or statements and then you can answer them, all right? Any questions for Angela or any questions for Emma Sullivan? Right, then make a note. Make a little note of that one, you've got to answer it. Who are you asking?
Angela.
Stuart.
Prison food isn't as bad as what she'd say. You shouldn't get bread and water in it.
Sounds female.
You don't get
Who are you talking about? No, it's alright, that's your question to her. Right, okay. Anybody else got it? Yes.
Some of the top class
Yeah, how long
prisoners
ago
get
was that?
in a paper a few weeks ago, there was a prisoner who was eating out of restaurants with 3-course meals, trains in gyms, goes to swimming pools, the lot, and that's like the luxury, yeah.
Right, I'll let... has anybody got an urgent question or a statement about where they stand on the position? Does anybody want to say where they stand on the issue on why in a parallelative, briefly? No? Right, well, I mean, you've heard Angela, who was in favour of it, and she's outlined her argument, her case, and she summed it all up at the end. And you've heard Emma, who's halfway through hers, given some of the reasons why she is opposed to it. Would you like to give them some support by saying what you think, or would you like to give her maybe more of a criticism? Yes, Emma.
I'm with Emma on it. Handguns to go for. There's a more murders and kill too many. And they only get home once.
Anybody else?
Sir,
Yes, Peter.
sir, New York, Angela said New York and Britain are totally different places. Murder's just the same. Doesn't matter how many people get murdered, it's just the same, isn't it?
Yeah, very good, Lord.
So what?
She said that it's different. That's just one place in America.
Yeah.
And Britain's an old country, it makes no difference.
You can all do that, Angela.
There could be one murder in Africa and thousands in Russia, and it makes no difference. It's still murder, isn't it?
Right.
Yeah, very good.
You have your hand up.
No, you can't do it.
Right, okay. Angela, would you like to go back and you two, Emma, on what's gone on so far? And if the rest of you, I'll tell you now, you didn't listen. I think you listened to Emma's, the second one, because it was like an isolative story. But you didn't listen to the arguments that Angela put forward, one after the other. Too many of them were talking instead of listening to what she was saying and making a few notes on them. And I might do this again, and next time, when you've all written a bit more on your own essays, at least you've seen there's different ways of going about it, and you've seen the way the arguments can be put together. And that person who was in this class who was in that said that must have been someone from a public school, I think you can see now, you can do it in this school just as well as any other school. And Angela's shown you that. And then, right, Angela, there was 2 questions, at least 3 to you. Would you like to answer them, please? Oh. Would you like to answer them, Angela?
Start with Emma, yeah.
If you like, it's up to you.
I think there can be 100% evidence in some cases, but if there isn't, I don't think they should be hanged anyway. Terrorists and things, you can be sure that they've done it.
Next question.
No, you can't.
Listen, put your hand up if you want to speak. No heckling. You've got to come back on that.
You can't be positively sure.
Is that your contribution, right? Would you like to say something?
How can you be 100% sure?
Yeah, hold it, Angela, hold it.
I know. If the fella,
No, we don't.
if the person admits to it, you can.
Right, Angela can answer that. And let Angela answer the two contributions you made. She'll say it again. Angela, say it again. Say it again. Your answer to that?
I want to say it
Well, to both Emma and
because the more advanced and everything in technology, there's all tests going around, odors, hair tests and everything, and sometimes they do admit to it.
Good speech.
Stuart.
So when they admit to it, it's been made in the back of the police car or something.
Like the thing of guilt to court.
It's been made.
Would you explain, please? Would you explain about the guilty court, please?
Police got the evidence and made all the evidence up just so that they could get to
When
some of them wanted to go.
So, do you see that as a problem to what, related directly to what Angela's saying? What are you saying to Angela now? What are you saying to her?
You can't be sure because the police don't.
No, she.
Yes.
Practical.
Police told them made the evidence up.
Well, what does that, you're saying
She
that,
said that it can be 100%.
you can be 100% sure, and you're saying that
Can't.
because,
What she said?
yeah, I just wanted to say it in a little bit different way. Because of what is it generally that you're saying, rather specific to that case? What is it you're generally saying?
Police can't be
You can't rely on police or people because they may be, may right at times fix the evidence. Is that what you're saying?
My question.
I've got an opinion poll come up today. 63% of people who they asked said that they didn't trust the police. They thought the police.
What percent was that?
63% of people.
63% don't trust the police. Emma, please.
Some people have misunderstood distress. If you put them too much on them, they can say just to get out of it. We just...
Right, okay. You see, what's happening at the moment is we're concentrating on the one argument, the one point. That's good. That's all right. It's being exhausted, isn't it? Angela has said, will you help over there in the corner? Angela has said she's only in favour of hanging if there's 100% proof that the person is guilty. And she's saying that you can get that proof now with modern science, modern technology. They have ways of establishing very clearly. If it's not 100%, Angela's against it. It's only where she feels 100%. Now, what's been said by a couple of people is that you can't get 100%. You can't get 100% because people sometimes, because they believe they've done it, will rig the evidence for various reasons. Profit, might be revenge, it might be whatever. And we've got cases like that. Apart from the Guildford 4, what else? What was the case? The Birmingham 6. What's the latest one they're talking about? There's another one, isn't there, coming up? Okay, they're good examples. And what they're saying, Angela, is that you can't always rely on 100% evidence because people just fix it and rig it. And we actually have cases in your lifetime, in the last 10 years, where this has happened. Now that whatever, Angela's tried to answer them in her arguments, and if you have a look, you cannot avoid them. You must take up these issues. Yes, Peter?
Sure, big gangsters, like, they've got people who'll take the rap for them. Like, if someone gets on the case, they'll get people to say they
got money, you can get away with it.
Not to get on with, get it hanged.
Not to get put in prison, to get anything done to them. They've got people who will, like, go to jail for them.
Yeah, but do you think they do that when they come to being hanged?
Yeah.
Do you think they...
You don't know, do you? Because hanging isn't in, so you don't know what they're going to do.
Well, Angela, what do you say to them arguments? That you can't have 100% evidence, so you're not going to get it.
I think we can.
Oh, the new one is these.
Don't be daft. Right, Emma, go on. Right, do we have another argument? That was a good one, that. Is there any
question?
Do you have another question?
No, the one I asked before.
Well, just ask her, what do you think about them arguments? And Emma's, what Angela's saying is that she thinks that you can get 100% evidence. That's her answer to it.
No, I asked a question before about New York and Britain and that.
Oh, would you like to answer that, Angela?
I think it was used as a head and stuff like. They've already said in the essay that it can do.
No,
And that those
wait.
statistics prove it. It would put some people off, but not all of them.
That make you happy?
Well, therefore, that isn't a deterrent then. It's only
It's
making some
less
people.
deter some than not at all.
Yes. By the way, could we have some questions for Emma Summer, please? There's a few other people apart from Angela who want banging back, isn't there? So could we have a few people, have you got some questions, Mark, for Emma? Right, sorry. Sorry, Emma again.
As you said, when we were making notes, it was that much of a deterrent to show the people that the parents do show.
Yeah, that was the argument. You used that argument. What was his name? Anyone remember? Camus, wasn't it? Albert Camus. And he said that if it was really a deterrent, and that's what you're after, then why not pull the whole lot, have him in public, have all the blood and the gore and the horror of it? Because if it's a deterrent, that would make it more than one. And if you're serious about it, he said, that's what you ought to be doing. But instead, what do we do with capital punishment? What do we do?
Hide it.
We hide it away so that you already know it was going on. Some countries don't, they have it in public. But, any more questions? Anybody got a question for Emma Sullivan? Yes.
How can Emma say that hanging's too good for murderers? Killing is too good.
Well, I thought she explained that, but would you tell her again your own words if you can?
Because killing, I mean, if you're going to hang someone, it lasts a second, whereas if you're in prison, as one of the prisoners said, it's a slow death.
Yeah, but how can
It's
you
not
believe,
Hands up, hands up!
how can you believe what the prison is like? That's just what she said.
Well, I'll let you come back in a minute. He's got a question. That's his question.
So if they're walking up to the gallows, there'll be more panic sticking and everything while they are sitting in prison.
That's
There's no
You'll come back in a minute, Emma. That's the second question. Make a little note. Yes?
Some prisoners, that's only a couple of opinions of prisoners. Some prisoners can be bothered about jail. They know they're going to get out again, so.
Yeah, but some prisoners are all luxury and everything, so some of them are like,
what paper did you
But have you got the gist? Have you got the gist of these four articles? All the same, in many ways, saying that they think that, you know, not all prisoners are like that. You've been very selective in the prisoners you've chosen. And anyway, you suffer just as much in those few seconds as they go to gallows. What's your answer to them?
I'm just going to put something.
Eh? We're trying to explain what's your point? What is your point?
My point is that, although Terry or someone said going up to the gallows, alright, yeah, they've got fear, but once they've been hung, that's it, isn't it? They're dead. Whereas, like, their life is hell in prison.
Well, how do you know that?
In some prisons, it's depends on like the way you know. Put it like this: strange ways, remand centre.
No jail.
Yeah, there's a lot of prisoners on remand, isn't
Well,
there?
there was a lot of prisoners in remand. Did they enjoy their life in there? No. The prisoners
Boring,
are
did
getting onto yeah, they overrun it, and it's happened in different prisons since then. It was really minority.
Put your hand up, please.
I mean, and Mike asked me a question before about them doing exercises, all this gyms and everything. Did you see the prisoners on strange ways with the cigars and all that, did you?
Press ups and
I see it,
everything.
I'm sure no one else did.
As a matter of fact, for your information,
Listen here.
I actually saw Attersley in the House of Commons speaking, and I must admit, even I was shocked by the way prisoners are treated. They get half an hour a week exercise. There's three grown men or women locked in a cell the size of this little corner here. There's different prisons. There's open air prisons. There's prisons. There's high security ones.
Where does he go to school?
Which are like there's stages of security. You get moved down depending on how good or bad you are. And there are open air prisons where you're actually allowed to go to work. Where you go for such cases. Say, I once met a man. I worked on a farm once. And this fella came to work on the farm, and he was a prisoner in an open-air prison. He'd run over somebody in a car and been done for manslaughter, and he'd been given 4 years. He'd probably drunk or something when he did it. So he wasn't a murderer and such. He was just a very irresponsible person, and he was pretty safe enough to let back into the community again. So there's prisons like that, you see. Now, can I just say though, you see, there's another issue here about putting people up in prisons. What I was trying to say is, it isn't an easy option. If anything, you could say, if you really want to punish people, the thought of being locked in a cell with very little to do for the rest of their life might be even more of a deterrent. And funny enough, when they did a survey in America, and they've done surveys here, and they've said, what would you rather have hanging, or life being life? 50% of people, that's without a press campaign, have opted for life. Because they realise what an enormous burden that is, and how much suffering is involved. So if that's your argument, if one of your arguments is, wait, I haven't finished. If one of your arguments is that you want them to suffer, then that might be one of the options you consider, because it's not an easy one. But there might be another reason for giving people life. And that is that you might actually, if you're talking about being a civilised society, being given them a chance to realise just what they've done. I mean, one of the worst things, I seen a film once about a chap who had committed a murder. And he'd killed a kid. And he was put in prison. And they spent 1 year to 2 years with psychologists trying to make him aware of the enormity of what he did. And when eventually he realised the crime he'd committed, he hanged himself. He was so grief-stricken by the enormity of it that he hanged himself. But there might be other people you give the opportunity to realise how wrong they've been, how bad they've been, and actually maybe try to make amends in it for the rest of their life. Not everybody's going to do it again. In other words, it might be a chance to rehabilitate and a chance and an opportunity for us to act in a more civilised manner. So you might add them in it, instead of just dwelling on the punishment point.
If the murderer was convicted and to be given the life sentence, like, they could later, even though just be found innocent of the crime.
Well, that's right, that's it. Well, don't forget that one, please, Ellen. Don't forget that. Don't forget that, then, when you're out,
Wait, I forgot.
Okay, Angela, sorry. Angela, you, and then Stuart. All right, Angela.
After time, life is leaving you. Life is over to get out with good behaviour and things.
Good, good.
And it depends how much money you've got, the way you treat them.
Good point, yes. There. Stuart, Michael, you had a question?
I think the way that it's voted, whether Rangan should be brought back, is wrong. The ministers who are doing all this voting are supposed to be expressing our views. What they're doing, they're voting what they want, instead of what we want.
Yes!
Right, we'll come back to that in a minute. Anybody got anything, another question? Was it you, Sarah?
Yeah, doesn't Angela think that 10 years in prison is a life and you're stuck in a little cell? Doesn't she think that's long enough?
Can I just move off this one? On that one, because we've had a good go at that. And I'd like to get into the one Michael's just raised. There's another one with argument. Well, by saying that, the answer simply is, if a lot of what Angela says is true, actually, it isn't life. You do get out for a short time. But maybe the solution isn't to hang him. The solution might be to have life. In other words, make life life.
That's it.
You see, but that would get rid of the problem.
Overcrowding.
I mean, you'd say, instead of a campaign to bring hanging back, let's campaign to make sure that we get life instead. Now, could we move now onto the argument given by Michael Ellis? Now, Michael's put forward a very important point where he said that those people in Parliament should be representing our views. Because Michael's saying that if you ask the majority of people in this country to bring whether they have hanging back, they'd all say
No. Yes.
He said he'd say yes. And he thinks those MPs should be there representing those views. Now, what do you say to that?
Since they should say like the word that they want to speak for. Say that like one part of the country, the minister for there. Then if the majority is for, then Anthony should speak for in the House.
Simply represent the views, right?
When they're representing, like, all the people who like, should get the votes, some of them are just saying they want hanging brought back because they don't know the facts and know the figures and everything of the crime rate, and when you do know them, they might have a different view. But they won't show them the people who want hanging brought back, will they? Show people
Good
that.
point. And who makes the decision? I mean, are they? Where do people get their opinions from?
The woman at number 10.
Peter, come on. What have you got to say?
Say, they should have a general election on like things that are in the news all the time. Like, hanging is a big thing now, whether to bring it back or not. But they should just have a general election on it.
Just on hanging?
Yeah, and
No.
Stu Watson who doesn't.
Doesn't matter about the economy being in a mess and it's not able to mend our ways and 20 million living in poverty and just have a general election on hanging. So if the government you were putting in was in favour of bringing back hanging with kids stealing bread or the government you put in believes that we should turn this into a total dictatorship, do away with the monarchy, burn down the House of Lords, you would say hanging's more important.
Yeah.
It wouldn't matter what else they stood for.
I'm copying off that.
There's a point.
You want the murderers off the street.
Can I? Anyway, I'd like to keep developing this one. We'll come back to that in a minute. Yes, Evan.
Can I ask, because you're saying we should have
Well, can I? Hang on. Oh, look, we're having a good debate here. I just want to dwell on this one for a bit. It's a good one Michael Ellis brought up. And what Sarah said, we'll come to that again, right? Sarah said was also a very good contribution. I'd just like to ask you, where do people, how do people go out forming their opinions on these issues?
Say the news and what they hear.
Who owns the news?
Mrs. Thatcher, Robert Maxwell.
How many people own all the press in this country?
2 or 3.
The government
own all the major papers in this country. And the major television stations. So, if all the press and all the media are promoting something, what generally is going to happen with the population?
The public will take in the tax what they're giving them and not the other side of the
Maggie
argument.
Thatcher's got it on the sun.
Yeah?
So there's a new paper coming on.
So that's what happens in Hillsborough.
Do you know what happened yesterday? No, we'll come on to that. Hillsborough, yeah, what happened over Hillsborough? What did the Sun try to do over Hillsborough?
Blame the Liverpool supporters.
It didn't work, did it? It backfired in Liverpool, did it?
Everyone stopped buying.
Different countries, it did work. And I went on holiday and we still calling Liverpool for that. We tried to stop.
No, well, listen, that's important what she says. Here in Liverpool, you might say, well, we had a campaign and the sales have gone down. Have the sales gone down anywhere else?
No.
Because people are going to believe much of the stuff they read in the
Too
paper.
many people.
If you are hanging back tomorrow, tell me the papers, tell me a newspaper that would be opposed to it.
The Sun.
Be opposed to hanging.
None of them.
Yeah, a paper that be opposed to hanging. Tell me one.
No, see, it depends on who's running the paper. If the person running the paper doesn't want hanging, then it will be this paper.
I'll tell you what, you're running the paper. You're running the paper. What are you for or against it?
Depends on the pleasure.
You're against it, right, you're against it. You've got a circulation figure of 2 million, the same as the Sun.
2 million.
The Sun, the Express, the Star, all the other papers are pushing, bringing it back. They're full of stories about the horror, the suffering, the pain, the remorse, our civilization, the scum on the streets, right?
Scum? No.
You know all of that? Your circulation figures start going down. Your circulation figures start going, what are you going to do?
Go for it.
No, sit out print stories of the people who've been wrongly hung.
Your circulation's going down, you're losing sales.
Well,
So what do you do?
If you start
What do you
bringing
do?
people,
Go
then
for it,
nothing.
You're like Freddie starting me hamster on the front. And put
What do you
it
think they do? What do you think the bigger ass doesn't do?
Swap it
They
out.
changed their what's happening in America? You remember the article? What's happening in America now with these governors who are pushing to get elected onto the national party?
You better adverts to do for capital punishment and all this, saying that they've hung 30 or 40,000
Thank you.
men.
Can I just ask you? Can I ask you just one question? After a year in America of advertisements on your telly every night saying bring back capital punishment and pictures every night of people who've committed horrible murders, what do you think the vote's going to be?
Bring back.
Bring it back.
How can you bring it back?
It's already there.
Oh, get rid of it.
You've got it, but the
There's
advertising.
different states that don't have it over there, isn't it? Some
So
states
what I'm trying to say to you, is there a possibility that the media could be a very big factor in forming public opinion?
Yeah.
Yes.
What do you say to that, Michael?
He's stuck, he's got
I want to know, you say, I mean, I agree with you. Your people should be there to represent you, by the way. That's what you should be there. I agree with that, I support you on that. But you've got a problem now, in that if public opinion is real public opinion, we can have a real debate in this country, where maybe the arguments I put to this class, right, both sides, right, mainly against it, but you've had the opportunity and you won't get marked down and you take the opposite view, I'll put to the country, right? Do you think it might be, and also we had an alternative that perhaps you were talking about real life 25 years, do you think that would be the same decision by the country?
I can't say no.
Someone's stapled in.
God made the shit.
Oh, she's got a point, but I mean, it's a hard one, but you've got to think about it. We don't do social studies. In English, we have time, we'd like to have a look at the media and the part it plays in this country, you know, in forming opinion. Referendums are all right. Unfortunately, often you'll find whatever the papers want, that's the result of the referendum. Whatever the newspapers and the telly want, that's the result you tend to get. Because they are the ones who are in charge of giving you the... Like I'm the teacher now. I decide what information to give out, what side to take. The newspapers are the same with the whole population. They make the decisions about what line they're going to take. Should they have a story of the grief-stricken mum, right, or the appalling conditions the lad who committed the murder was brought up in. Well, that's what one might do, but the other might want to show you this lad didn't have a chance in life. Come from a background of poverty. You know, his mother was an alcoholic. He was interfered with and sexually abused when he was a kid. And that's why he goes around preying on young kids. And that's why he murdered one. But, you get me, it's up to the newspaper which way they want to pursue that argument. And if all the time, continually, they simply decide to bring out how evil society is and how it's only scum that walk the streets, right? Then you can see the way the end people are going to vote. Any more, I'll tell you what, so you have a look at that. The girls on there. You want to go back the, turn that off and go back the... Go and get the telly then, yeah. Go and get the telly.
I'll go get the telly.
So the telly's in the stock room, I think, yeah.
Probably screamed off in the corner like that.
But you see what, you know what, the important thing is this, Michael. We've only discussed 2 points here.
Yeah, but they've been big long points.
Angela, no they haven't. Angela mentioned about 15 points. We've just discussed 2 of them and spent their arts to do one for that. So it shows you what can be done if you open it up properly, right?
Should have probably mentioned 3 points.
It shows you yeah, get them all on, Max, so you can get rid of the...
Yeah. This cow, fully the way it's gone out of it. Yeah. Oh, what?
Second starts there. No, that isn't a proper paragraph.